Martin Luther King Jr., in his own words, no discussion of the civil rights movement of the 1960s is complete without a close look at Martin Luther King Jr. Oops, where is it? A bitter reminder. Name change. Martin Luther King Jr. was born Michael King Jr. after his father. Martin's father was a Baptist minister heavily influenced by the teachings of Martin Luther, a German religious reformer. Shortly after a trip to Germany, King Sir decided to be known as Martin Luther. Michael King Jr.'s name was changed to Martin Luther King Jr. in 1934. Martin Luther King Jr., the famous civil rights leader, was born on January 15, 1929. The first 12 years of his life was spent at his grandparents' home on Auburn Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia. King grew up a few miles from Stone Mountain during a time when a monument of Confederate war heroes was being carved into its north side. The South of King's youth was deeply divided between black and white. The mountain's carvings were a reminder of a time of slavery. King was seeking change when he referred to Stone Mountain on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial years later. He did much to alter the course of civil rights through the delivery of one of the most famous speeches in American history. Martin Luther King Jr. was a powerful public speaker. This skill and his efforts in the civil rights movement led to great changes in American society. More to know, when he was younger, King was known as Little Mike. Close friends called him Mike later in his life. Brothers and sisters, the South was a very different place when Martin Luther King Jr. was growing up in Atlanta. Although slavery officially ended in 1865 with the 13th Amendment, blacks didn't have the same rights as whites. Segregation kept whites and blacks separated, with whites-only businesses, parks, schools, and even drinking fountains. King's religious beliefs helped him realize early in his life that segregation and Jim Crow laws weren't fair. In a sermon called The Drum Major Instinct, delivered at Ebenezer Baptist Church in 1968, King said that all men are brothers because they are children of a common father. He believed that all people came from God and thus they were equal and deserved to be treated as peers. This is a picture of an elderly woman is about to break a law, drinking from a white-only water fountain, as law enforcement officers hold on. More to know, Jim Crow was a common name for a character in minstrel shows, which often feature white actors wearing dark makeup. Jim Crow laws. After the 13th Amendment freed slaves in the United States, many states and cities passed laws to restrict the civil rights of blacks, called Jim Crow laws. These measures made it hard for blacks to vote and segregated in many areas of life. In Alabama, for example, blacks and whites weren't allowed to eat in the same restaurants or play pool together. Georgia even passed a law barring blacks and whites from being buried in the same cemetery. Education and character. More to know, a bronze statue of Martin Luther King Jr. is located in the Morehouse campus next to King Chapel. Martin's interest in religion came from his father, but he was a bit unsure of his beliefs as a young man. King went to Booker T. Washington High School, where he skipped the 9th and 12th grades. At age 15, he began to attend Morehouse College in Atlanta. He hoped to study either law or medicine at first, but finally decided to become a minister. King said that at Morehouse he saw religion could be intellectually respectful and emotionally satisfying. In his final year at Morehouse, King wrote about the nature of education in a school publication, The Maroon Tiger. We must remember that intelligence is not enough. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. To King, true education should mold people of good character. What King heard at Morehouse shaped the course of his ministry and life. Building character, King credited the professors at Morehouse with greatly influencing his beliefs and later teachings. Morehouse President Dr. Benjamin E. Mays taught him about Mahatma Gandhi's nonviolent methods of protest against the British government in India. Professor Simon W. Williams introduced him to Henry David Thoreau's essay on civil disobedience, which King read multiple times. King was fascinated by the idea of refusing to cooperate with an evil system.